Lewis Hamilton just did something in preseason testing that almost nobody noticed, and it might be the biggest warning shot of the entire year. While the headlines focused on Charles Leclerc's explosive lap time, while analysts argued about Red Bull's long runs, Hamilton was quietly solving Ferrari's biggest weakness. And once he solved it, the numbers changed. Over 4,000 kilometers completed, 0 major mechanical failures, a qualifying mode that unleashes 350 kilowatts in a single lap, top speeds above 340 kilometers per hour, and in cooler conditions, long-run pace that suddenly matched the very best. But here's the part that should worry the entire grid. Lewis found a braking and energy deployment trick that even Leclerc has not fully mastered yet. A way to rotate the car using regenerative torque. A way to protect the rear tires just enough. A way to unlock pace Ferrari did not even plan to show. Preseason testing is over. The data is real. And if this is Hamilton still adapting, what happens when he is fully comfortable? Subscribe now, because what Ferrari just revealed through Hamilton's hidden pace could decide the championship long before the final race. Now that the tests are over, the noise disappears. And when the noise disappears, patterns start to speak. Because Hamilton did not chase the fastest headline lap in Bahrain. He chased understanding. And that distinction changes everything. Early in the week, the story looked uncomfortable. Radio messages leaked. Lewis complaining about brake feel. Inconsistency under heavy regeneration. Moments where the pedal response did not match his instinct. For most drivers, that becomes a compromise. For Hamilton, it becomes an obsession. He stayed late with the engineers, worked through differential maps, adjusted rear locking behavior, rebalanced torque delivery on corner entry. Not for qualifying, for control. And here is why that matters. Under these regulations, the front axle regeneration is massive. The hybrid system is no longer just an assist, is central to braking stability. If the mapping is wrong, the rear steps out. If the mapping is perfect, the car rotates effortlessly. By the final 2 days of testing, Lewis had found something. A rhythm, using regenerative drag to pivot the car in slow corners, reducing steering input, minimizing rear tire scrub. It did not look dramatic on television, but the sector times told a quiet story. His slow corner exits became cleaner, more efficient, less violent on throttle application, and that directly connects to Ferrari's biggest preseason concern, rear tire degradation. The SF26 has brutal electrical torque on exit. When the surface temperature climbs, that torque overheats the rear tires quickly. Grip falls off a cliff. Lewis described it clearly. Strong for 10 laps, then sudden drop. But once he adjusted the hybrid mapping and differential behavior, the degradation curve softened slightly. Not eliminated, softened. And that is the hidden gain. Because in race trim, you do not need miracles. You need stability. And here is where the data becomes persuasive. Over 4,300 kilometers completed across Barcelona and Bahrain. No catastrophic engine failures. No hybrid explosions. No dramatic shutdowns. That reliability gives Ferrari freedom. Freedom to push engine modes harder in qualifying. Freedom to experiment with deployment strategies. Freedom to attack Red Bull instead of defending. But there is still a tension beneath the surface. In cooler evening sessions, the Ferrari looked phenomenal. Balanced, sharp, confident. Hamilton attacked braking zones aggressively. The car responded instantly. But in high heat, the story changes. Battery temperatures climb. Energy clipping appears slightly before ideal braking markers. Rear instability increases when wind direction shifts. Lewis has already warned the team. The operating window is narrow, and that is where championships are decided. If Ferrari can widen that window before the first race, Hamilton's hidden pace becomes a weapon. If they cannot, it becomes situational, fast in qualifying, vulnerable in traffic. But here is the deeper psychological layer. Hamilton does not look frustrated. He looks engaged. After 2 difficult seasons, that matters. When a 7-time world champion senses potential, his entire posture changes. He demands more. He extracts more. He sharpens the team around him. And that influence alone can unlock performance. The preseason numbers suggest Ferrari may have the fastest one-lap package, perhaps by 0.2. But over long runs, the gap shrinks. And when Lewis manages degradation correctly, it shrinks even further. So the real question is no longer whether Ferrari is quick. We know they are. The real question is this: did Hamilton just find the key that turns raw speed into sustainable dominance? Because if he did, the entire grid has underestimated what this partnership is capable of. But there's another layer to this story, and almost nobody is talking about it. Because while the spotlight has been on lap times and battery temperatures, something much more subtle has been happening inside the Ferrari garage. A shift in authority, a shift in gravity. For years, Charles Leclerc was the center of Ferrari's project, the future, the reference point. Now Lewis Hamilton walks in. 7 world championships, 100+ victories, and suddenly the development direction tilts. During the final days in Bahrain, something interesting happened. Leclerc quietly adopted elements of Hamilton's setup. Rear suspension balance, differential configuration, entry rotation mapping. That is not a small detail. Drivers do not copy each other unless they see something working. And this tells you that Lewis did not just adapt to the car. He influenced it. But here is where it becomes even more strategic. Ferrari's biggest preseason advantage is their qualifying mode. The manual override deployment. Full electrical discharge in a single lap. Maximum attack. That makes them potentially the fastest over 1 lap. But Hamilton understands something from experience. Pole position means nothing if you cannot control tire life on Sunday. So instead of chasing pure peak output, he has been asking for smoother torque delivery. Less spike. More progression. Sacrificing a small amount of straight-line violence for rear tire preservation. That is not the mindset of a driver chasing headlines. That is the mindset of a driver chasing championships. And here is the uncomfortable truth for their rivals. Ferrari's engine has shown almost bulletproof reliability across testing. Over 14 race distances completed in total mileage. No major mechanical breakdown. That means they can afford to run aggressive maps in Australia. They are not protecting fragile hardware. They are optimizing performance. Now imagine this scenario. Cooler track conditions in Melbourne. Evening qualifying session. Battery temperatures stable. Rear tires in optimal window. Manual override activated. Hamilton in rhythm. That is a dangerous combination. But championships are long. And the calendar includes Miami heat, Singapore humidity, Hungary in midsummer. If Ferrari cannot expand the operating window, those races become survival tests. And Lewis knows it. That is why he has been pushing for cooling refinements without opening the bodywork too aggressively. Because opening the body increases drag. Drag costs straight-line speed. And straight-line speed is part of their Saturday advantage. Everything is connected. Thermal management, energy deployment, tire degradation, aerodynamic efficiency. And this is where the hidden pace becomes psychological warfare. Red Bull may still have superior long-run stability. McLaren may have strong balance in medium speed corners. But Ferrari now has something it did not have last season. Belief. Hamilton looks convinced the foundation is strong. He has publicly said the base of this car is years ahead of what he drove recently. That confidence spreads inside a team. Mechanics move differently. Engineers take bolder risks. Strategy becomes sharper. Momentum in Formula One is not just about lap time. It is about conviction. And preseason testing revealed something subtle but powerful. Lewis Hamilton is no longer adapting to survive. He is adapting to attack. The tests are finished. The data is clear. Ferrari has built a car that can dominate Saturdays. It may threaten on Sundays. And Hamilton has already begun reshaping it in his image. So the real question is not whether he has pace. He does. The real question is whether this hidden pace is just the beginning of something much bigger. Because if Ferrari solved the heat sensitivity before the season gains momentum, we might be watching the early stages of the most unexpected title charge in years. And now we arrive at the part that could define the entire season. Because preseason testing does not give trophies. It gives direction. And the direction inside Ferrari right now is unmistakable. This is no longer just Charles Leclerc's project. This is becoming Lewis Hamilton's machine. Not loudly, not politically, but technically. The way the brake mapping evolved over 3 days. The way the rear suspension balance shifted. The way the torque delivery was softened in long runs. Those are fingerprints. And when a driver of Hamilton's experience starts leaving fingerprints on a car this early, development accelerates in one direction. His direction. But here is the deeper layer most fans are not considering. Ferrari's weakness is not speed. It is sensitivity. Sensitivity to temperature. Sensitivity to wind. Sensitivity to rear tire surface overheating. That kind of narrow operating window can destroy a championship challenge. unless you have a driver who knows how to manage it instinctively. Hamilton has built entire title campaigns on tire preservation, on controlling energy deployment, on adjusting mid-stint without panic. In Bahrain, when rear degradation began to spike, he did not complain. He adapted, short-shifted earlier, reduced torque spike on exit, adjusted brake migration. These are not dramatic changes. They are microscopic. But in Formula One, microscopic changes win races. Now imagine this scenario. First race weekend, cooler evening session. Ferrari activates full qualifying deployment. Hamilton nails the lap. Front row start. Race day begins. Track temperature rises. Rear tires begin to heat.